Imagine this. In October 2023, engineers from Finland and Estonia find themselves in a serious situation. Their undersea gas pipeline is showing a big drop in pressure. They start to panic, wondering what could be wrong. They quickly check all their machines and tools. Everything seems to be working just fine. The question is, why is this happening? This pipeline is very important, a true lifeline for both countries.
Exactly. It's not just an accident, it seems. The drop in pressure might mean something bigger. The pipeline is more than just a piece of metal in the sea. It's like the heartbeat of both nations. Without it, things could go very wrong. But what if this is only part of the story? Maybe there is something deeper going on, more complex than we think. Something that could change everything.
Now, let's dive deeper into the investigation after the engineers noticed the drop in pressure. They started to ask questions and check everything from the beginning. All systems were working as they should, so it wasn't a mechanical problem. This was something more hidden. Soon they got some revealing news that it wasn't just a technical glitch. The signs pointed to sabotage, and the situation was much more serious than they first thought.
Yes, it was shocking when they discovered what happened. A Chinese cargo ship accidentally dragged its anchor for many kilometers along the ocean floor. This caused a lot of damage, tearing a hole in the pipeline and even hitting important undersea cables. These cables are used for communication between countries. So, not only was the gas pipeline damaged, but also vital communication links. It was a huge disruption for both nations.
So, as we've seen, warfare has changed so much over time. In the past, it was all about soldiers and battles on fields. People fought face to face with simple weapons. But now, things are very different. Modern warfare is less visible and can happen anywhere and at any time. The conflicts have become complex, involving technology and strategies that we cannot always see clearly.
That's right. One interesting way warfare has evolved is through energy warfare. This is when nations use energy resources like oil and gas as a weapon. Energy is very important today, as it keeps everything running. Without it, countries could find themselves in deep trouble. In modern conflicts, controlling energy can be more powerful than any army or weapon. It's a completely new way to gain power and make other countries listen to you.
Energy is now a valuable tool in conflicts. Countries no longer need to send troops to fight physically. They can use energy to pressure and control other countries. Imagine a country shutting down power in another country just by controlling the flow of energy. This can disrupt daily life, the economy, and even the military. It changes the rules of the game and makes energy a strategic asset, similar to having a strong army.
Yes, and there are new tactics in these energy conflicts too. Cutting off gas supplies, raising prices, or sabotaging pipelines are just some ways nations might engage in energy warfare. They do all of this without firing a single shot. It shows how resourceful we've become in finding new ways to influence and affect others. Understanding these modern strategies is crucial for countries to protect themselves and stay strong.
Let's talk about some real-world cases of energy warfare. In 2014, ISIS took control of oil fields in Syria, aiming to fund their activities. This was a clear example of how groups can use energy resources to gain power. Fast forward to 2022, Russia decided to cut off Europe's gas, hoping to exert pressure on them due to their support for Ukraine. It's a strategy to make nations bend to their will using energy.
And in 2010, Qatar was able to use its vast natural gas wealth to win the bid for the FIFA World Cup. This too shows how energy can influence important global decisions. What's the common factor in all these events? It's how these countries or groups used resources to their advantage. Energy is not just a tool, it's a weapon for influence and control in today's world.
Exactly. What these examples tell us is how important energy dependency can be. When a nation controls energy resources, it holds power over others who depend on that energy. This kind of influence can change the way countries act and make decisions. Nations use energy to gain political or economic advantages, sometimes even coercing others to change policies by threatening their energy supply.
Yes, it becomes a kind of invisible warfare. Countries don't have to engage in direct conflict when economic and political sway can be achieved through energy. The ability to control or deny resources becomes a powerful strategy. Recognizing these patterns is important because it shapes how nations interact with each other. It makes you realize how energy is not just about powering our homes, but it powers political strategies too.
In today's world, fossil fuels are very limited. We only have so much on Earth, and this makes them very important. Every country needs these fuels to work, to power their cars and factories, and to keep homes warm. But not all countries are lucky enough to have their own supplies. This unequal distribution can cause disagreements between nations. The scarcity of these resources is one main reason why energy is often at the center of global issues.
Yes, it's like a game where some countries hold all the cards because they have these natural resources. Let's imagine the Republic of Simon Stan and its neighbor, Wisteria. Simon Stan has lots of energy resources like oil and gas, but Wisteria does not. This means Simon Stan can influence how Wisteria behaves. If Wisteria does something Simon Stan doesn't like, the oil and gas might stop flowing. It's a simple way to show how powerful resources can be.
This idea isn't just make-believe. In real life, countries use their resources to make others do what they want. It's a kind of power that comes without needing to fight wars with weapons. It's all about control and influence. By controlling resources, one nation can make others bend to its will. It's a powerful strategy, but it's also risky. If a country uses its resources to threaten another, it can cause tensions to rise. This is why global politics have become so complicated.
True, and we've seen this play out many times across the world. When a country knows its resources are wanted by others, it can use that as leverage to get things. But sometimes, this leads to other nations feeling bullied or coerced. They might come together and find other ways to get what they need, removing the power of that resource-rich nation. It's a delicate balance, and it shows how energy isn't just about technology and industry, but also about diplomacy and strategy.
Oil is super important. It powers almost everything in our world today. We use it for cars, planes, and many products like plastics. If you look back in history, oil has often played a key role in events. Take World War II, for example. Japan was growing more powerful and moving into new territories. The US didn't like this and decided to cut off Japan's oil supply to slow them down. It was a big move to stop Japan, and it showed how cutting resources can be a powerful tool.
Exactly. But this idea of controlling oil isn't just a thing of the past. After the Yom Kippur War in 1973, Arab nations decided to use oil as a weapon. They stopped selling oil to countries that supported Israel in the war. This caused oil prices to go way up, and even the US felt the impact. It was a strong message that oil can bring even the most powerful nations to their knees. It shows how deeply superpowers are connected to oil, shaping their alliances and decisions.
These events teach us about the power of oil in international politics. The US learned a lot from the World War II embargo on Japan. They saw how cutting off oil could push a nation toward a defensive reaction. Sometimes, cutting off energy supplies can lead to conflict or force countries to talk and make peace. This strategy of using oil to influence or control others is a strong one, but also risky. If a country feels threatened or trapped, it might react in unexpected ways.
That's very true. And after the Yom Kippur War, the US learned firsthand how dependent it was on foreign oil. When Arab nations controlled oil supply, they had the upper hand. The US had to think about its relationships and how much they relied on these oil-rich countries. This situation also showed how alliances can be based on who has oil. Countries form partnerships to make sure they get the oil they need. It makes clear just how much energy can control global relations and politics.
Remember how we talked about the power of oil? Now, let's look at the big stage where OPEC plays a game with oil prices. OPEC, this group of oil-rich countries, has a strong influence over global oil prices. They can choose to pump more oil to bring prices down or reduce output to make them climb. Their actions have a big impact. It's like a balancing act, and everyone watches what they do.
That's right. But here's where things get tricky. Russia, which also has a lot of energy resources, got into a dispute with Europe recently. They thought they could make Europe suffer by cutting off gas supplies. They wanted to make Europe change its stance because of Ukraine. But Europe was prepared. They found new ways to get energy, stood strong, and proved they weren't easy to push around.
What's interesting is how the US played a role. The US found a lot of shale gas in recent years. This changed things a lot. Europe turned to the US for help when Russia tried to use energy as a weapon. With new sources, Europe could continue without relying on Russian gas. This shift showed how important it is to have alternative sources. The US shale revolution gave Europe a new partner in this energy game.
Exactly. Russia hoped their energy would be the key to making Europe do what they wanted. But the US shale boom meant Europe had options. It was a big mistake by Russia. Instead of controlling the situation, they lost a lot of influence. This shift in energy dynamics made the world see how important it is to have many choices. Energy isn't just about power and politics. It's about having freedom, too.
As we come to the end of this journey into energy warfare, it's important to recognize that this type of conflict is still changing and developing. Understanding the effects and strategies used in energy warfare helps us see how critical resources can influence global politics. Staying aware of these dynamics allows us to better comprehend not only current global events, but the potential conflicts in the future as well.
We hope you found our exploration of energy warfare enlightening. It's crucial to stay informed about these complex issues that shape our world. We invite you to engage with us further by liking this episode and leaving a comment to share your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more content that digs deeper into important subjects. Together, let's stay aware and involved in the discussions that matter the most.